Pokémon Legends Z-A is out and has been out for about a week and change now, maybe 2 weeks depending on when you're watching this, or maybe longer. And the three of us nerds have played a good bit of it, so we're going to talk about our impressions. We're going to keep it spoiler-free. The most that we might talk about are some side quest things, but main story is probably going to be whatever was in the trailers, and that's it. And our general thoughts about whether this is the direction in which we want Pokemon to go in the future, or if it's a step in the right direction. I'm not really sure what we're going to talk about. Justin said he was going to quiet quit before this, so I'm not sure what that meant. Welcome to the CRUBCAST, your weekly dose of controlled chaos here in podcast form. I'm here with the man himself, Justin. He hasn't yet quit.
I'm quietly quitting right now.
He's very quiet about it. He's very, very subtle about his quitting.
I'm declaring that I'm quiet quitting right now.
And I'm here with Chris Mykonos fan. Hi, Chris.
Hi, I'm quiet sitting.
Ooh, I can't quiet sit. My chair gets squeaky. And my name's Kevin. If you're not familiar with what we do here, we talk about dumb shit like Pokemon. Subscribe, please.
A lot.
Way too much.
So I guess to get it out of the way, let's talk about where we are in the game. You guys are relatively close. I've done it all.
I'm
so
40 hours in. I'm rank C. I could do one battle and be rank B, I suspect. But I saw my hour count relative to how long the game has been out, and I was dissatisfied, so I went outside today instead. I could have played more, but I did not feel good about my number.
Quiet quit the game. We get it.
Your number's insane. I'm only like 25 hours in. But I'm rank B. I'm a little bit above Chris, but mainly I think Chris has been doing it a little bit differently than me. Chris has like been
that's a work email from the place you quit, Justin.
Yeah, listen, I'm trying to get another job. I'm quiet quitting right now, so therefore I have to keep my ringer on to make sure I can see when I get my new email for my next job that I will also quiet quit.
Okay, you're a job hopper. Yeah, I've been a little more partly smell of the roses, partly it's so easy to shiny hunt now that I'm kind of just letting that happen and doing whatever. So it's not like active full 100% focus 40 hours, but that number wouldn't take much away from that, I don't think, either.
Yeah, like, because I think Chris you've been actively shiny hunting.
Yes.
Whereas I've just been walking around the overworld, and then I hear the chime, and then I start freaking out because I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Where is it?
Yeah. So you guys are relatively close. I would say, Chris, your active hour count is probably still closer to the same 25 that Justin's is. You're just passively holding down on the analog stick.
Yeah, more or less. I'd say it is probably like 5 hours I'd knock off still from that.
Okay.
So there's still been a lot of like active going and exploring and side quest stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have finished the game. At this point, I think I've done genuinely everything. I don't know when I finished everything. I think it was only around 40 hours because I always play games kind of fast. So I think around 40, I had done every side quest besides some of the post game stuff that came out where you like need a very specific Pokemon at level. Like it's the Arceus stuff where it's get a level 70 Pikachu, and the battle a 1-on-1 sort of deal.
Yeah, I've run into a couple of those so far.
And the post game is repetitive.
With a Pupitar.
Yeah, that one took a while for me too because I had to grind a Pupitar up for some reason. Yeah, some of the post game stuff is a little bit repetitive, so I'd say I would probably stop counting my hours as far as what I would have played to beat the game around 40, because then it's just kind of doing the same thing for like a lot if you want to do everything and get the shiny charm and all that stuff, which I'm usually not interested in. But to your point, Chris, it's so easy to do that I was like, sure, I'll look around for that. But yeah, I guess general thoughts. I'll go first here. I think, Chris, you and I have talked about this off air a bit. I think that the Legends series, if you put the two games together, would be the best Pokemon game. I think
halves have like everything I want in a Pokemon game, but each one has different things I want. So yeah, I would agree.
I think we also said that like Legends Z-A has a higher floor but lower ceiling than I think Arceus did. Because Arceus just hit a very specific vibe, and that feeling of true exploration had been something that we had been missing in Pokemon for such a long time. It was part of why I fell off the series before I saw you two nerds playing Scarlet and Violet and saying, man, this game's bad and it looks fun. So I bought it and it was bad and looks fun. And then I played Arceus, and that kind of rekindled my love for the series. It was that good. And I really like the ideas that they put into this game as far as like changing the battle system. It's more of an active time battle system is the comparison I've used now. So like if you consider classic Pokemon, the really classic Final Fantasies, and you consider Arceus like Final Fantasy X, where it's still turn-based, but there's like you can affect the turn order. This is like the active time battle Final Fantasy 4 through 9, where with a little bit of other, RPG stuff where you can move around and whatnot, but not really. Yeah, so my general thoughts are I've really, really enjoyed it. It is a little bit on the short side for what they're offering, and it makes you a little cynical about the $30 DLC that they're doing for this game that you can do everything in 40 hours. That kind of feels a little lame. But yeah, there's a few things I'm wanting for, but otherwise I really, really enjoyed it. I think I wanted more space in the game is my takeaway. Chris, what about you?
I'm pretty similar. I think if the world map was 1.5 times bigger, or at least had more to do within what is there, that would be a big boon to it. Because as it is, as I'm playing it, I'm like, man, I like this and it's a lot of fun, but I'm already pushing against things of like, oh, I wish there was more of this. I wish there was more of this. This feels kind of light. And we're all playing on Switch too. We should also add. So,
yeah.
Like $70 for it.
Yeah.
We're not seeing any of the issues that like the Switch 1 version has, where it's like a lot of frame drops and laggy parts. But
I've heard it's pretty okay, actually, from what I've looked into. It seems pretty.
Yeah, it looks a little bit choppier in movement, but like the graphic.
I mean, it's 30 versus
powers,
60.
Yeah.
It's 30 versus 60. The draw distance is worse, and you can tell where the Switch 1 version impacted the Switch 2 version. I think this game would look good if it were just a Switch 2 game. I think it looks fine. Graphics are a big discussion in the Pokemon universe for sometimes pretty good reason.
With this one though, like the graphics are good enough where I'm just like, I don't care, man. Like it's stylized enough where everybody looks fine. Like characters in the game don't look terrible. Like textures in the game don't look terrible.
Yeah.
Like it's just fine. And if anything, like the art style of the game kind of props that up a little bit, where I'm just like, I don't really need much more than this. Maybe just some higher quality textures, but like everything's fine.
Yeah.
Just more to the point. It's like $70 for a less game than the last few, like even Arceus, it's like there's 5 areas. There's a lot of quests, probably similar if you stack them up, but it at least gave the illusion of there being more there. Right. Even though if you look at those wild areas, a lot of them are just kind of flat places, but it had more of like a sense of place, I think, compared to this city, which gets some of the way buildings there. But that's been like the main thing I've been hitting my head against, because everything else is pretty fun. The characters are either likable or so dumb and dislikable that I think I still like them a little bit. Like the trappings are there. The writing is funny. The battle system is maybe kind of basic but really fun. So I'm like, there's a lot here where I'm like, yeah, this is fun, but so I'm pushing maybe, like, if I had to put a number, 7 out of 10, but a really fun 7 out of 10,
which is probably sucks that we've said that after saying it's one of the better Pokemon games if you combine it with the other one.
I was gonna say, I feel like the number's low.
If you're giving it, we're not going to get into the discussion of numbers.
I'm not getting into numbers.
I'll do it.
It's definitely, to me, the funniest Pokemon game. There's so much funny dialogue here. The side quests are, fittingly for a game set in one city, very Yakuza-esque. There's a lot of very dumb side quests where you run down an alleyway and fight a dude, and he says some dumb out-of-pocket shit, and then you fight him, and you win, and then friendship wins. And that's very Yakuza. There's a lot of that DNA here, which is weird to feel in a Pokemon game, because they, like a lot of Nintendo games, sometimes exist in their own world, separate from the trends of the industry. And to see that was very interesting. I didn't really take many notes down as I played. I kind of just absorbed myself in it. So I'm trying to think of the other things that I have on that note. Yes. Hi, Chris.
I have a question for Justin, since he didn't really get to say his opinion on the game, but I'll out him as someone who didn't resonate much with Legends Arceus. How are you feeling about this one?
This is, as someone who did not particularly care too much for Legends Arceus,
I'll take.
I really, 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 really like this game. I really, really like it. Having a Pokemon party in this game feels important. Whereas in Legends Arceus, I was just catching things for the sake of the game told me to. Whereas in this game, the mechanics are still there to catch Pokemon and stuff like that. But now I actually feel a connection towards the Pokemon in my party because this game is much more focused on battling. So I'm actually building a team of Pokemon that I'm going into fights with. And because there's more trainers that I am seeing a lot of like character out of, I get to see a lot more of the Pokemon other than like compared to where the way I felt about Legends Arceus was like outside the totem Pokemon, basically, because they're not totem Pokemon, but they're basically totem Pokemon. With
the whatchamacallits.
Arcanines.
The Guardians.
The Guardians, yeah.
The Noble Guardian?
Yeah. Outside of them, like, none of the Pokemon felt like it had much identity in the world. It was just kind of like your mounts, and then everything else was just kind of in the world for you to find and catch. Whereas in this game, like, there's the Chandelure trainer, and then there's the Phalanx trainer, and then there's the Electros trainer. Like, it gives a lot more character to a lot of the Pokemon that you find in this shared city.
Almost to a fault at some points, because there are so many later Pokemon that if you knew ahead of time that they have megas, you're like, when am I getting that mega? And it's like, oh, it's going to be a trainer that happens to have that Pokemon, of course.
Yeah.
There's a lot here that, to your point, the battle system is much improved from Arceus. And I liked Arceus a lot, but there's more of a reason to do it. The counter to that, and this kind of goes into what Chris and I were saying, is the stuff that made Arceus so unique is here, but it feels, and I don't like using this term, but I'm going to use it. It feels dumbed down.
Ooh. Yeah, it's kind of de-incentivized to in favor of getting the battle system more up to snuff.
Sort of, but with how basic the battle system is, because for those that maybe haven't played the game, it is you hold your left trigger, you hold ZL, and then you have the 4 face buttons as different attacks for your Pokemon that is out. And you can move around, and when you attack, it will move them into a specific spot that they need to go to do the attack. Physical attacks will have like a physical hitbox based on the size of your Pokemon, which means that if you have a larger alpha Pokemon, you have a bigger hitbox, but you also have a bigger hurt box. And so there's some stuff there that if this game cared to actually explore that would be really cool. The thing is, it doesn't.
Yeah. And like they want you to use that kind of stuff with all the online battling and stuff like that, because they have that like 4-for-all.
Even then, that's
go and fight everything. Like they want you to do it, but
so
like
different. And it doesn't even count towards the research challenges, which is where I was going to go next. Like Legends Arceus, this game has a sort of professor that is giving you research to improve, in this case, the holotech within the world of Lumio City. And I noticed way later in the game than I thought I would how obligatory that whole menu system was compared to Arceus's. Where in that game, every time you did a thing, it would kind of tell you did a thing for that Pokemon as you got back to camp. And they would tell you leveled up this Pokemon's Pokedex entry, and therefore you're more likely to find shinies. And like there was stuff to develop each Pokemon individually, which gave them the character that I think you didn't really connect with as much, Justin.
Yeah, because I did the Pokedex enough to get to Arceus in Legends Arceus. I passed that, though. I was like, I'm not shiny hunting in this game. I'd rather do it in Scarlet and Violet with all the outbreaks and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's fair. In this game's case, in Legends Z-A, your challenges are stuff like catch 50 dragon types, and I realized way later in the game, because of how catching and the stealth mechanics of Arceus are de-incentivized, that I hadn't really been trying to catch anything because it was more of a pain to do so. Not just in terms of navigating through the boxes and being like, well, I don't care about any of these and I can't donate them, so I'm just getting rid. Like they're actually just box filler when you're catching 50 Noibats in a row, and between that and the fact that all the Pokemon can enter an angry state where they can't be caught for a while is maybe the dumbest decision this game has.
I don't like that. And what you're probably just about to get to, and I'm cutting you off, is that there's a day-night cycle. And
that's the worst thing in this game.
Yeah,
I've already had a few times where if I'm like looking for an alpha Pokemon and you have to deal with this anger state where you can't catch it, so you're just running around like an idiot dodging its attacks because you can't. If you kill it, you get one shot at catching it. You might get it, so you just got to run around with its HP in the red, and then you're just watching the timer in the top left like tick toward daytime, and the game keeps going like, "Hey, sun's coming up soon," and you're like, "Well, I'm trying, Zaza, I'm trying," and I don't understand it.
And for those that maybe aren't paying attention to the game and are just watching for, our takes or our opinions without going in with a lot of knowledge of the game, the day-night cycle, which I was not aware of being a thing that was this bad about it, because I don't think they talked about it, it is the Blood Moon cutscene from Breath of the Wild every day, every night. Mm-hmm. So every time the day changes to night, it'll show you the battle zones in the world, because this is the worst city to live in the world, I think. You live in a city full of areas where they're just being taken over by Pokemon zones, and the government is just like, yeah, that area, don't go there anymore. And then at nighttime...
Or if you do live there, watch out. You're gonna
deal with it.
You're going to get run over by a Salamence, yeah.
Then there are a bunch of other areas at night that have a red hologram border around them, which is where all these trainers go to battle. So if it's late at night in France and you're tired of a Larvitar stomping on your roof, well, good news. Now there's a trainer up there with a Tyranitar and he's fighting people. This is the worst city to live in. It's kind of interesting because they almost explore that in story, but they don't seem to. It's very much, I guess, in the vein. I haven't played X and Y, but it's in the vein of X and Y as I understand it, about the harmony between humans and Pokemon, and the lame line they use, the intersection between the X and Y axes. But they don't really explore that much to me, to make it like a really super unique entry story-wise in the series. But yeah, the day-night cycle is one of the worst bits for sure. That
Maybe
wasn't where I was going.
It resets all the spawns, by the way. That's like the key issue, is that once it hits, that Pokemon you're after vanishes and gets replaced. So
I got lucky once. There was an alpha of a specific Pokemon that I was trying to catch, and the clock ran out. And then thankfully, either I got really lucky and it respawned, or they threw me a bone because it was in the process of being caught as the day flipped to night, or night flipped to day. And I was like, oh, is it going to give it to me like Pokemon Go would when your app crashes? And it didn't give it to me, but it gave me a second chance to battle it.
Okay, that's good.
My only other big critique while I'm rambling here is related to the alpha Pokemon, because that was one of the cooler things in Arceus, were these areas where there were these Pokemon that are hard gated to get in your way and tell you don't go here unless you're the right level. And it was one of the cooler ways of integrating integrating your level design into the world of this, empty, flat ass open world, to make it a place you want to go back to again and again and learn new things about. I've played, I want to say like 50 hours at this point, because football happened over the weekend. And while watching football, I just ran around and did miscellaneous stuff to get the shiny charm, for example. Yeah. And so I think I played 50 hours, and like I said, I've done about everything. In the process of playing the main story, I caught 180 alpha Pokemon of the 230 in this dex. Alpha Pokemon were they were a rare thing in Arceus. They are everywhere in this game, because if you do a zone, they don't tell you this. Completing a zone is what allows alphas to then spawn there from the other pool of random Pokemon that are in the area.
Yeah, because every area has like one or two hard-coded to be alphas just in the middle of the area. But once you complete it, I guess then all the other Pokemon that are in that area open up to the possibility of becoming an alpha.
At this point, all I have left are starters and Eevees, which are the hardest ones to get alphas for. Yeah. So, and the fossils, which I'm not going to do. But yeah, it's just the alphas were like this really rare thing that you were like, oh, that's going to be a cool fight. Like, that's going to be a challenge to get it, or I'm going to have to really sneak around and use all my lures in Arceus, use my smoke balls, really distract it, things that aren't available here in Legends Z-A. You just have Pokeballs and a very bad stealth button, and you throw one and then you hope. And if you don't get it, you get into a fight, and most likely the Pokemon is angry for 10 minutes and you can't catch him. And so it made that part so much worse, that the battling, as good as it is, didn't quite make up for that to me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate, because sneaking around in the wilderness was one of my favorite things in Legends Arceus. Yep. Like, again, the feel of like being in a place, even if that place was maybe objectively kind of, design wise, there was still something really novel about that to me. Contrast that to here, where there are some wild zones that are more involved. They'll like weave you through the city, and you'll have to kind of go through like a little sewer grate or a little river thing to get to another area. I like those. There are plenty I've seen, though, and I think I've seen most of them at this point, that are just kind of like a street, and you can go up to a rooftop, but it's so packed in that, especially once you clear it and more alphas can spawn in, you're kind of just stepping into a war zone. And I think anyone who's played the game will know the one with like 8 Pyroar just sitting out in front somewhere that can hit you with earth power when you're on the roof high up away from them. From the ground, they can earthquake you basically.
Which probably kills everybody in that building.
There's no survivors.
It's going up through the building. Yeah, I've been trying to catch the Skarmory in that area for a while now.
Yep.
And the only way to get the Skarmory's attention is going up to the roof and then like getting it to come over to you.
Yeah.
But all the Pyro just shoot a bunch of earth powers at you, so I can't really do anything about it.
If you go at night, they're asleep, so you can kind of stealth roll past them, which is, again, the roll is really dumb because you can just roll while crouched and it just counts as them not hearing you.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of them, I think the thing to me is like the thing about Arceus was, and I think the reason we make these comparisons is they're A, both Legends games, and B, this being a Legends game felt like this would be the natural evolution of what Arceus does, and it's not really.
It kind of feels like it's a moniker for a sub-series.
Which, if it is that now, that would make sense. We know based on some of the stuff that got out that this was going to be a Legends Johto game, which probably would have been closer to what Arceus was going to be, or was rather.
Poor Justin.
And yeah, I like the idea of the battle system. It reminds me a lot of the ranking stuff from Pokken Tournament, which I always thought was one of the coolest things that I never really engaged with because no one played that game. And it's still too expensive to buy on Switch, so I'm not buying it again. But yeah, it's like most of the wild zones here, unlike in Arceus, where there was a whole big-ass area where there'd be like 50 Pokemon, and there'd be one that is in a very specific area. They wouldn't tell you it's there. You could like kind of hunt for it. But you had to like learn organically where these things were and like exist in that world. Here, they tell you there are 7 Pokemon in each wild zone, more or less. And they tell you with silhouettes which ones are in there. And so you just got to re-roll this fast travel to that area again and again until one spawns. And and most of the time you have 6 of them already because you've already been playing the game.
It's an interesting thing because it feels so obligatory. There's a word I'm looking for where the Pokemon that are in there are the Pokemon that are in there. And it just feels so like they're just in there. But at the same time, this game also does something I really appreciate in that most of the time, the Pokemon are integrated into the city environment really interestingly. Like Spinnerax are in trees, Weedles are up in trees, Noibats will like come off of a roof and fly toward you. Like they feel very part of the environment for once, whereas most of the time they just pop in and feel like they're walking around a set path somewhere, right?
Yeah.
I think they're integrated very well in a way, but also feel very arbitrary in another. And there's a weird disconnect in the wild areas, I think, due to that.
I think if they had played this a different way, where the gimmick of the game is you're doing the battles at night, and then this is all in the trailer stuff, so it's not a spoiler. And then by daytime, there are rogue mega evolutions, which are wild Pokemon, which aren't supposed to be able to mega evolve, can now do so for some reason due to the energy in the area. And you have to stop them because they will go kill people. And this game talks about death a lot. They will kill people. And we don't ever see that in this game is my issue. Besides it being formulaic, because the first half of the game is just doing battling at night over and over again and then ranking up very quickly and then being like, well, that was kind of lame. And then the second half is battling 3 rogue Pokemon in those Arceus-styled boss battles. Besides it being formulaic, I wanted to see stuff like, oh, what if there was a rogue Pokemon that is responsible for alpha Pokemon that aren't stuck in a wild zone? They are wreaking havoc on the regular part of the city, which is why the wild zones are supposed to exist here. And they don't ever explore that really at all. And that's kind of like one of those classic Pokemon things where you're like, oh man, if they went just a bit further, it'd be really, really cool. And then they don't. And it's just kind of cool.
Yeah. You do kind of fall into a routine of like, all right, your 3 buddies are going to show up at the 3 different rogue spots and stand around the way on you to come up and be like, this one turns into a dragon type. Look out. And you do that. I haven't beaten the game, but I'm assuming I still have a few more of those left. And
I will say the one thing about it is it was as formulaic as it was. It was not as bad as I was dreading as I went through it, because they do add a bunch of texture by way of new factions and characters that show up every couple cycles of this, because it's like, again, this is half the game, is just doing this 1-2 punch of battling at night to rank up because you have to, and battling megas during the day because you're told to.
And you can't progress in the story until you do the rogue mega evolutions.
Yeah, because you have to like do a challenger battle to rank up. So it's like the fact that they skip through so many of the ranks to begin with is also kind of lame. Like I get why they did it, but
I was like, do you really want to do 26 challenger?
I mean, if you're gonna make the game ZA, I think skipping half the letters probably should not be a thing you do.
Like find something else to call it, you know?
Yeah. Like
they perpetuated their own problem on that one.
And like the idea of an actual ranking system in a Pokemon League is really cool. Yes, it would have been formulaic, but it's already formulaic the way they did it.
You could also just not do it that way and be like, well, doing it naturally will rank you up and will challenge you every now and again. And like,
or just have side quests every now and then where if you do a side quest, you might automatically rank up once. Yes, it's less dynamically or less organically introduced into this is the character that is this rank, but that was already kind of contrived because you're always fighting the character you just met.
Yep.
So
that's why I'm When that big jump happened, I was like weirded out. I was like, really? All right, well, I guess we'll get this on the road.
It makes it clear the game's going to be a lot shorter than I think they want to convey with the title ZA.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just stuff like that like, you know, I know we're being critical of it, but at the same time, we've all put 20 to 40 plus hours into the game. I still really enjoyed it. And it brought a bunch of unique things to Pokemon that I would like to see in the future. I think a third Legends game, if you took the lessons from both of these games, and it's also a Switch 2 only game because it will be, you have something really, really special. I think that it's clear some of the design decisions were a really out loud, hey, we learned, you know, after Scarlet and Violet, which you can say what you want about how it took 30 years to get to that point, but it was 30 years of crunch to get to that point. So you can tell this game was made with more time. You can tell they took their time. You can tell that there's more people involved in production. It shows by way of the way the game comes together. And I appreciate that out of it because it makes me maybe a little hopeful for the next game not being the dumpster fire that Scarlet and Violet were. I think that was the breaking point, and I'm hoping that this is the recovery point.
Mm-hmm.
So, also, can I just say that I am one of those freaks that say, when I played through X and Y when I was younger, I loved the city of Lumiose so much, so I was really happy when they decided to do a ZA game in Lumiose. And it is really, really cool being able to like actually flesh out this one city that was a really cool like spot in the game. But like you went in there, you went into a couple cafes, you talked to Professor Sycamore, Lysander mogged on you, and then you left. So like having the ability to, now you've opened up this door where now you can go back to regions and flesh out some cool things that you may have put in there as an idea.
Yeah.
Like what if now you can go back to like, let's say Hoenn, and now Watson's turned the town into like some gigantic place where it's like a big hub for Pokemon, like Mawile City, right?
As someone who had no connection to X and Y, Lumiose to me is probably the best city they've done in Pokemon because there are as much as I would want there.
You could do Unova, I guess, but I wouldn't want to do New Unova. It's not as exciting to me as Lumiose is.
Yeah, to me it felt like as much as I wanted more out of it because of the Yakuza comparisons that naturally come to mind with this game, I don't want them to do karaoke where no one speaks because that'd be weird. But like if there were other mini games or dumb things to do, maybe that'd be a bad decision in terms of the scope of the game itself. But I think it'd be a good decision to flesh the city out more. But in terms of how the city is integrated into the world, it is such an interesting structure. I think it's really weird and cool that you have to climb a bunch of dumb scaffolding to get onto the rooftops because they're rebuilding the city after the events of X and Y.
Yep.
There's stuff like that where they're really close to hitting something really special. And in gameplay, it's there. But like in story, I would have liked, like, what if there was a slums area where people are broke? You know?
Instead of it just being all one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very similar to Scarlet and Violet where there's just 5 sectors that are named, they're named after colors now, but there's like, like magenta sector, street 1. Like they have street names, but then there are like areas within it that they got to name things better.
It's interesting swing to see them take though. Like 99% of Pokemon towns are like, you come here, an NPC gives you an item. There's a gym, maybe Pokemon Center. maybe a gambling corner. Like you're in there for 20 minutes and you're like, all right, I've seen this entire town inside and out, and I can commit it to memory. There's nothing to do, nothing to see. So interesting to see them take this swing where it's like, let's actually just pick a city and design around that. And I don't know if they got far enough for me, but I like to see them try something different. It's very interesting.
Yeah. And that's kind of the gist of, I think, everything I would say otherwise is it's cool that they're trying something new and that they put a lot of effort into it, because the whole battle system is so completely different that took years to design by itself. Yeah, it's simple. I'm hopeful that updates and DLC will add more challenging examples of like how, setting trap moves out, like toxic spikes, physically put spikes on the ground that if you walk near them, you will get damaged.
Yeah.
And if there was stuff like that in battles that were challenging with those mechanics more so than someone saying, I use long range attacks, so you'll have to get really good at short range attacks to catch up to me, and then you kill him in one hit. And I wasn't even over leveled for that one. I just beat his ass.
Oh, unfortunately.
So it's like right there. And with what they did with Arceus, I'm sure there will be updates that flesh that out. So I'm gonna give them some benefit of the doubt until they charge $30 for that.
Which they
if that's the only avenue for updates and improvements, then we might have a different tone.
Yeah.
Should we reconvene to talk about that when it comes out? But yeah.
Because I do love that they finally gave Kalos kind of the game that it kind of needed for its lore, because they were very clearly going to do a Pokemon Z, and then the anniversary came up and they were like, well, we need to put a new one out for the anniversary, and that's what Sun and Moon happened. And Zygarde is just like in a crater, not Zygarde, Necrozma and like Zygarde, like all that stuff is just like shoehorned into Sun and Moon because they didn't have time to do a Pokemon Z. So the fact that they finally got the opportunity to do that, I'm very happy about. Plus, I love that Megas are back. I love that we can finally give Megas to Pokemon that kind of should have had them to begin with. Like
I think
Pyroar.
Megas in real time worked a lot better than I ever felt it did in turn-based as well, because the Mega Meter is now a thing that you can meter burn attacks, sort of like the strong style moves from Arceus. And I think that's a really cool thing that they actually only tell you about once, and I didn't realize till 20 hours into the game.
Yeah, and it's also something that like feels more natural to a Mega Evolution, where it's like, it's not just a button you press and now this Pokemon's a Mega Pokemon for the rest of the battle. Like, no, you actually have to manage it.
Yeah, and
like,
you can swap out and it'll stay Mega.
Yeah, that was one of the things about X and Y. They give you a Lucario, you hit the Mega button, and you'll probably just like sweep every single Pokemon they throw out after that. And you're like, this looks cool, but man, I don't have to think anymore. In a game where you already kind of didn't have to think that much.
Yeah, because X and Y was one of the easiest games they ever made.
Yeah,
it was so easy. They did not balance that one right.
That's why I wasn't interested, even from the jump. Like the moment they announced the jump to 3D back then, my dumb kid brain was like, well, that means there's going to be the least amount of Pokemon and it's the smallest one. And then everyone at the time was like, no, you're stupid. It's going to be the biggest one and it's going to be so cool. And then
I'm like, I don't know how you thought that. Yeah. But like,
I just never had interest.
The locales of Kalos were always so pretty. They really did a good job of making it super pretty. So the fact that they got, again, that they got to go back to Kalos. Like Kalos it was very like a flash in the pan in the moment because they just had to jump straight to Alola.
This makes me more interested in exploring X and Y, both because of the story being kind of the apology and sequel to that people have been waiting longer for than X and Y. We've been waiting longer for X and Y to be resolved than Pokemon was in terms of age when X and Y came out. That's how long it's been.
Yeah.
So for them to have gone back is such a cool thing to be like, hey, this is a game about regret. This is a game about things we don't get to do sometimes. And like, there's a bit of, I always look into the metatextual stuff there, and I'm interested in seeing that element of, people that worked on this game were maybe kids that played X and Y back then. Some of the new hires, for example. So there's that element of love that goes into that, and like reverence for a region that really didn't get a lot of it, because as far as I've now understood it, the reason they skipped Z wasn't just because of the anniversary. It was because we need to make an engine that we can future-proof for Switch, because they now had Switch specs. That's what I think just came out recently. So they skipped it, not just to cash in on the anniversary and get 4 more games out before the Switch, but because they needed to take a year with the main team and make a new engine that could be used on Switch, or else it would take 5 years to make a Switch game. And because of that because of them sacrificing Pokemon Z, we've had more Pokemon games than ever before, for better and worse.
Yeah, which is weird too, because now they're starting to take their time with them. Like, we're probably not getting Gen 10 for at least a year or two.
Oh, it'll be out next year.
30th anniversary next year, baby.
There's no way they don't do it at this point.
So that's 1 year, and then Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out, 2 years ago at this point?
3. Be 4 years
by
then.
So it'd be 4 years for a new gen. That's like the longest wait we've ever had for a new gen of Pokemon.
So it is, but in the same time, we've had this game. That's what they're doing now. Instead of a third game, they're doing a different project and DLC. Yeah, which I think it's a more interesting way to go about it than having a Scarlet, Violet, and Lavender or whatever, or Sword, Shield, and Gun. Like, I think that this is I'd rather it be this way as much as I would have wanted Pokemon Gun. I'd rather it be this way because we actually get some new experiments out of the series that has been so desperate for something new for such a long time. They keep trying to do gimmicks to give you something new. That's why you got Megas. That's why you got Z moves. That's why you got D-Max. That's why you got Terra. Yeah. And if they can do all the dumb shit in these games, then you can focus on the meat of the main games and hopefully make them the better.
Which honestly seems like a lot of the work of the meat of the main games is going to end up being in Pokemon Champions. So they now have they've put that line in the sand. It's like you have Pokemon Champions, and then you have whatever else we want to do. So now we have the avenue to do whatever else we want to do.
Yeah. It's the classic thing that all series run into at a certain point in time, where they're now appealing to 40-year-old men that have been fans for years, and also children who are coming in for the first time. And I think that we're maybe finally at a point where we can start seeing them cater equally to both sides of that equation without having to sacrifice quite as much. Because Pokemon's always going to be for kids first. But now you have a thing, like you said, in Champions, where the adults that really want specifically that can go there for that.
Yep.
And it's free.
And they can get all it's free, and they get all the fun mechanics. Like they get the benefits of having Mega Evolutions, Dynamax, Terastallization, Z moves.
Like, it can be the most unbalanced shit you'd ever want, like all the Pokemon games are, and people pretend they're not.
Exactly.
Let's go.
I mean, there's inherent imbalance in having more than 5 Pokemon, you know what I mean?
I'm going to become a competitive Final Fantasy player.
Hell yeah.
I have one final thing of appreciation I want to note about this game. I've always thought Pokemon games had awesome music. And as the game's technology progressed, it got held back by synth instruments because the compositions were great, but at a point you're hearing these fake guitars and string sections and stuff. This game, the techno stuff is techno, but the saxophones, the strings, everything that should be a live instrument sounds like a live, actual arranged instrument. And the soundtrack is so pleasing to listen to because of that. Maybe you'll get sick of hearing the Lumiose theme 40 hours in because it's kind of just a 3-minute loop, but when you're appreciating it, so good.
Thankfully you won't get sick of it because it changes to nighttime every 5 minutes, so you'll never hear it for more than 3 minutes at a time.
So then it goes. It's
like the Weird music. Yeah,
I've really loved this game's music. I didn't really play Scarlet and Violet with my capture audio on so loud because we were usually hanging out when I played it. So I heard a lot of the themes. They were really good. There were some here that stopped me. Like the Rogue Mega theme. I was like, oh shit. This is they're cooking.
Wow.
And
yeah.
I just appreciated the mixture of styles that they really put here. Again, fits that theme of combining nature and infrastructure. Yeah. Humanity and the animal world. And so you get that contrast in such a unique way in the form of the music, that it's a much more cohesive package of a game in every aspect. It kind of hits on that stuff, even down to the day and night thing being so jarring. It's kind of, there's something maybe a little poetic about that, where it's they really wanted to make this a jarring 2-tone game, which is a bad decision, but they did it well.
And they did it anyway, and it kind of worked.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that they stuck with that the whole time. And, most likely, because this is Game Freak, that wasn't intentional. But what do we do here but ascribe meaning to things that don't have meaning?
Yeah. Ooh. Ask the guy who made the Pokemon movies.
God. Speaking of the Pokemon movies, we here on Crub, the three of us here, have a separate podcast feed on the Patreon. There are 5 episodes free of it on the Patreon. You don't have to join. You just have to hit the free button and you get it. It's called Podcastémon. It is a series where we're going through every episode of the Pokemon anime. And I mean every single one. We are, at the time of recording, almost done with Johto. And by almost done, I mean we have 70 episodes left of Johto. So we are almost 1/5 of the way through the Ash series. But we are going through every episode. It's a lot of fun. We shit post pretty frequently, do dumb Lieutenant Surge voices, and talk about some of the most asinine shit that anime has ever seen. It's a lot of fun. Check it out. Like I said, first 5 episodes are free on the Patreon, and then the rest show up every week or so, every other week on the Patreon if you want to join for as little as $5 a month, or the audio tier is $10 a month, where you would actually get Podcastémon. So consider that or else.
You can hear about a Pidgey that flew into the Earth's outer atmosphere and ice formed on it, and then it dived bomb back to Earth and got saved by Fat Pidgey.
There's a whole island of Pidgeys that are just fat.
And it's called Pudgy Pidgey Island.
There's a whole discussion between scientists.
6 minutes.
We watched that
6 minutes.
Right as this game came out, and I saw an alpha Pidgey, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, that's name him Pudgy.
It's a Pudgy Pidgey.
It's so good. They spend several minutes of scientists talking back and forth, and Professor Oak is like, yeah, we're not sure if it's a new evolution, a branched evolution, or some kind of mutated strain, but now science just thinks that they're just fat. And it might be my favorite line in the series. Yeah. Fat shaming Pidgeys is the funniest thing that they could possibly do. If you want Pokemon to have a soul, watch the anime. It's dumb. That's what we're doing. So check that out. It's Podcastémon. It's the name is that. Enjoy it.
But yeah, no, I ended
Link
up
below.
I was I think I can safely say that I came out of this game I came into this game, Legends Z-A, wanting more time to hang out in Lumiose and soak in the city and maybe see a little bit more like expansion of how they kind of fit in all the story that they had and didn't really pay off in X and Y. And I think I got what I wanted, for better or for worse. So
yeah,
thumbs
Justin,
up on my end.
I agree. I don't remember X and Y, but I agree.
X and Y just had so many like things that were happening in the background with like all of the like legendary Pokemon and all that stuff, and like
and then at Gym 7,
was just,
they're like, I guess we should expand on this some, and you're like, huh? Okay.
And I'm like, yeah, I did just blast through 3 gyms like in the span of an hour. You're right. You should do more of that. And then they do a little bit of it, and then Lysander's like, raw, I'm gonna throw out a Mega Gyarados instead of a Mega Pyroar, even though my main looks like a Pyroar. So
if you think about it, Pokemon X and Y having such a late plot dump out of nowhere is maybe the most Yakuza thing that Pokemon's ever done.
You know, that is true.
So
maybe I should be kinder to X and Y.
Yeah. No, when you told me the thing about the Gym 7 plot dump, because I was asking you things because you're almost done, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if this thing is in the game, in the original, and you're just like, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, they kind of just dump that shit all at once, so I don't know.
They wait until like the end of the game to be like, by the way, this is about a Pokemon war, and you're like, what? All right, sure.
I thought Tierno just danced.
I thought I thought there was just a nerd character, but all right, go off.
I didn't know that we were child soldiers. It was crazy.
I think the most disappointing thing, and this is where I'll end out my thoughts on now that we're on that topic, is all these characters that show up in ZA, apparently intentionally refer or are referential in their design to characters from X and Y, but are not those characters or are not related to those characters, because apparently they're saving all that for the XY remake that they eventually want to do. And so there were characters like the guy who runs the actual Yakuza faction in the city of Lumiose. I was sure he was going to be like somebody who was a kid in X and Y who came up under Lysander, whatever his name is. And then I looked him up, and he's just a dude. They don't explain what happened in the past to have made him somebody at all.
I mean, he says that Lysander gave him a place to like stay. He was like an orphan on the streets, and Lysander basically gave him a house and food, and that's why he's so connected to the city. Kind of the same way Emma is, because Emma's the exploration of a character that was in X and Y. That's kind of something that you're talking about. The entire post game was Emma. It was all about Emma and her Esper, and with Detective Looker, and you guys were trying to figure out the mystery of everything there. Mm-hmm. And they just kind of, outside of Emma, AZ, and Lysander, everyone else in the game's kind of left for picture on the wall is the fairy gym leader. Like
even Emma is like I didn't even know she was an X and Y, specifically because all she ever does in this game, she never mentions Looker by name outside of her detective agency being named after Looker because it's his. Yeah. At some point she's like, oh yeah, the person that like helped tutor me taught me a lot, and I'm just like, why don't you just, this game is fan service, you could just say his name is Looker.
Yeah.
You don't gotta be coy about it. But yeah, I thought that it was, I guess Corbeau was his name. It just felt like he was gonna be, you remember in Leaf Green and Fire Red where there was that weird post-game sequence involving the lieutenant within Team Rocket who they made a thing in Gold and Silver? And then they made him a thing. It was a random character in Gold and Silver that they turned into an underling with an actual brand in Leaf Green and Fire Red to set up for him having a bigger part in Heart Gold Soul Silver by name. They turned a random NPC into this character that would be a through line for the series, kind of like Looker is, actually, for the 2 years he was there. And I think it would have been more interesting to have made Corbeau like he was a Team Flare underling. And if you go back, there's a dude with his design that was a kid back then, 5 years ago in lore, that, you know, they took that design from him and said, oh, that was me 10 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. Yeah, instead of it being
it's like a 5 year time jump in this game.
They keep saying 5 years.
Lysander does not look 5 years older. I'm sorry.
It's weird. They flirt with that idea a little bit. Like Mabel was from Team Flare, but I haven't beaten the game, but she kind of just seems to hang out in her lab and not matter anymore. So
it's just like, oh, like, yeah, like someone was in Team Flare before, and they don't elaborate. Like it's not a reference to the characters. It's a reference to the team being bigger. And I guess that makes some sense because Team Flare was a bigger institution, I'm assuming, than just 5 people.
I mean, Team Flare kind of had a similar air to it that Quasartico, however you say that name, Quasartico, it had that similar idea of like, yeah, no, it actually, they're not like Team Rocket sneaking in the shadows doing their stuff. They're like, no, we're trying to like better humanity. We're trying to make things better for all of humanity and for Pokemon. And
which you think would,
an ideal world.
You think it would make the government of Lumiose maybe more skeptical, but
yeah, but Lysander had cool hair.
I mean, the second time.
Well, no. Don't worry about it.
It's just, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like that where I'm like, you know, if you just went a little bit deeper and you made, it is one city. And as much as you want to say that this is Paris where it has 6 million people in it, it is 5 blocks. So you can just say there are only 200 people in this city and be okay with it. And that means that there are enough people in the city that are former Team Flare people or had connections that could have been more directly referenced in X and Y, or been like retconned from X and Y, that this random character is now important here because of things that happened there. It's just a small thing, but like if you don't get to have it both ways, you know? I think it's a shortcoming of the game that you're trying to be an apologetic sequel to X and Y, the Z that people have been waiting for, and then also you're being very coy about, but there's not really anything referencing this game, like outside of the city and the backstory of plot. Like otherwise it is just a bunch of new characters and 4 characters that are important to the original that apparently only show up 7 gyms in.
I have a hot take. We ended this 8 minutes ago and are still talking, and we have to go do our stream on twitch.tv/crub_official if you don't follow us on Twitch. So let's wrap this.
Yeah.
That's my hot take.
My hot take is game good. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Go away.